This is the DAR Today podcast, and I'm your host, Brooke Bullmaster Stewart. Well, what a podcast we have for you today. I'm really excited about this week. At our most recent state conference, we had the privilege to sit down with Heather Green, who I'm sure all of you know is the executive director for Kate Duncan Smith DAR School. And what I also think most of you know is that KDS School is celebrating 100 years this year. And so we get to play that interview today. Yay, really excited about that. We'll also play a short segment about that very unique history of Kate Duncan Smith DAR School. I think you'll really find it fascinating the way it began. But you know what I've always loved about the middle of May is that it is the first of our holidays or remembrances that remind us about our military and those who sacrifice so much for our freedoms that we get to enjoy today. And so this Saturday, of course, is Armed Forces Day. And then, of course, at the end of the month being Memorial Day. Decades ago, I found a really wonderful event in my community that we do on Memorial Day. But what about you? What do you or your family like to do on Memorial Day or Armed Forces Day to commemorate those? I would love to hear in the comments what you do. Now, we talked about Continental Congress last week, but I do want to mention this week that in the hallways during Continental Congress, you might see us filming for some future segments. And so perhaps you might want to be a part of that. One of the things we're going to be talking to people about is what is a favorite baking tradition that you and your family like to take part in the holidays. And we also want to ask people to recite the preamble to the Constitution. I don't know if you saw the video that we played in April around Americans' Creed Day, where it was a compilation of a diverse amount of members that were all reciting parts of the Americans' Creed, all spliced together in one video. I just love that video. But we want to do the same for the preamble. So perhaps if you see us filming, you want to be a part of that. So keep your eyes peeled. But let's hop right into this interview today with Heather Green. It was, as I mentioned, conducted at our state conference. So it's in a hotel, but I'll tell you what, we're just always so excited to talk to Heather Green. We don't care about the background noise, and hopefully it won't be an issue with you either, but just so happy to hear from her about this really neat commemoration of 100 years. And as always, thank you so much for being here with us today. With us today is Heather Green, who's the executive director of Kate Duncan Smith DAR School. All right, Heather, I am hearing that there's some exciting things happening this year. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, it is a very special year at Kate Duncan Smith DAR School. The school was founded by the Alabama Society DAR in 1924, and this is the 100th year since its founding. So we are having a huge centennial celebration all year long.
What prompted this Alabama DAR Society to create this school?
The ladies in Alabama really wanted to support the National Society's education mission. And there was a great need for educational opportunities in the remote areas of the state during the early 1900s. So those ladies just got together and started looking for sites where they thought they could really have an impact. A decision was made to found a school, and they began a search. And 4 sites were ultimately selected to be one of the places the school would be built. And after a committee visited all 4 sites, Grant, Alabama, atop Gunner Mountain, eventually won out just because the people were so excited and willing to make sacrifices to have the school located in their community.
Isn't that exciting to think that the women had just gained the vote a few years earlier, and here they were doing this?
Yes, talk about sort of gumption and innovation, if you will. They really believed strongly in this, and they were willing to do the work, and they were willing to put forth the effort to make it happen. And with the help of the local community, they really struck gold, I think, in this concept and with the location as well.
And it's so exciting. So 100 years, what kind of plans do you have for this whole year? Tell us about that.
The plans are actually multifaceted. We are looking to celebrate in a number of different ways with all of our audiences. So on February 26th of 2024, just a few weeks ago, we celebrated with our community. We had a day of celebration, and bingo and a soup supper and clogging and music and just all of those traditional things that are special to our community. On the actual birthday, which was February 26th, we had an in-school celebration with our students. Everybody had birthday cake, and we had a large campus photo taken just as they did when the school was founded. Of course, we had to use a drone this time. It was a little bit different, but we wanted the kids to all feel like they could look back one day and say, I was there for the 100th birthday. What we're really excited about is our 100th dedication day, October 3rd and 4th. It is going to be a celebration not to be missed. The President General and the National Executive Board will be there. We have so many fun and special surprises planned for our attendees. And we just look forward to having everyone come to KDS in October to celebrate with us.
Absolutely. And I'm excited too, playing this when we are, that people who are making their plans for Continental Congress will look at that DAR Schools luncheon, always such a highlight of Continental Congress, and go to that, right? That how many people usually go? Do you know?
I think there's usually about 800 people who attend the education luncheon.
Yes.
And it is so exciting because for some, it's their only chance to interact with the DAR schools. And we bring students every year. We've brought students since the 1930s because there's no better representative of our school than the kids who actually are able to attend.
Another exciting way to support your 100th year and support the school, I have found, is to look on your fantastic Instagram page and also on your website, of course, kdsdar.org, correct?
Correct.
And people can go there. There's wonderful products for sale and the donations you can make there to really help support Kate Duncan Smith DAR School because it's such a worthy cause. Thank you so much for being here today, Heather. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
With regard to that 100th anniversary of KDS DAR School, we might wonder what would be going through the mind of Alabama daughter Kate Duncan Smith, the school's namesake, if she were alive to see the school today. Well, Smith was a regent for more than 20 years of the old Ellington DAR chapter and was an important figure in the site selection process for the school. But the backstory to the school, referred to as the Gem of Gunter Mountain and its founding, is one of a community that truly rallied around a needed vital resource for their children's future. Back in the early 1920s, the NSDAR began an effort to build schools in remote areas of the East, particularly regions where the Civil War took place. Local communities hearing of this effort lobbied for recognition, and in particular, DAR chapters in Guntersville and Scottsboro, Alabama, situated on either side of Gunter Mountain, went to work. At the time, the region was served by one teacher only and one school known as Tin Top for its distinctive metal roof. The Marshall County Superintendent E.O. Creel lobbied local residents through the community's postmaster and their local mail carrier to inform them of the DAR's plans to build a school, and residents rallied in their commitment in making the area eligible for consideration. A potential site was identified, and families dressed in their finest clothing prepared a picnic and gathered at the proposed site in preparation for a visit from the National DAR Selection Committee. Boy, I would have loved to have been there that day, wouldn't you? Out of the 29 appeals, Marshall County was selected as one of the 3 finalists, and on October 23, 1922, the county was named the recipient. Gunter Mountain, near the town of Grant, was selected as the location for the new DAR school due to its isolation, need for educational opportunity, and enthusiasm and commitment of the local community. 100 acres of land was purchased from Wiley and John Ayers and donated to the Alabama Society DAR in 1923 by local residents, and groundbreaking began. Community families gathered local stone and hand-cut the timber that would comprise the first cobblestone and concrete building on the grounds. Jacobs Building would house 4 classrooms, an office, library, and reception hall, and receive donated furnishings and equipment from area community groups. The DAR provided funding for salaries of teachers, a principal, and maintenance funds. February 26, 1924 was opening day for the Kate Duncan Smith DAR School and coincided with Smith's 80th birthday. 2 teachers and a principal would provide K-12 instruction for an astonishing 100 students. Only 4 years later, in April of 1928, the National DAR lent its support to the Alabama State Society to name the school a national project for chapters anywhere in the country wishing to participate in the effort. Several of the buildings of the current campus today date back to the 1930s. The Harriet K. Privet Building, constructed in 1934, and Minor Practice Cottage, built in 1935, were designed to provide instructions in cooking, sewing, housekeeping, and childcare. Built in 1935, the Pennsylvania log cabin was constructed from forests on Gunter Mountain itself and housed the original library. Each of these has been repurposed today as a media center, faculty housing, and a museum, but were constructed through labor of area families and funded by the DAR. 100 years since its founding, Kate Duncan Smith's DAR School is a privately owned public school and the only K-12 institution in the United States owned and operated by chapters of the DAR. It's open to any child residing within the school district and is administered by the Marshall County Board of Education. From its modest beginning of 100 students, 2 teachers, and a principal, the school now serves roughly 1,400 students through the efforts of 75 teachers, 3 principals, 1 assistant principal, 1 administrator, and 60 support staff. DAR donations cover operating, maintenance and repair, grounds preservation, utilities, and insurance expenses, and the Marshall County Board of Education pays teachers' salaries and covers students' textbooks, transportation, and food. The one-room stone and concrete structure has blossomed into a campus of 40 buildings, and now over $100,000 college scholarships are awarded to graduating seniors. It's no doubt that the original Kate Duncan Smith would herself be smiling if she could see what the school has become, and perhaps she can. In fact, it's a success story that we can all share. Each child deserves an education and the opportunity to reach their full potential. And isn't it truly amazing that this coming October, an incredible partnership between the NSDAR and the local communities of Gunter Mountain, begun 100 years ago, continues to flourish. Opportunities abound to assist Kate Duncan Smith DAR School. Be sure to check out the DAR Schools Committee page on the national website to learn more about how you and your chapter can be a part of this amazing school and this amazing history. Well, we leave you today with this quote by Susan Gale. "Mothers are like glue. Even when you can't see them, they're still holding the family together." Well, thanks for listening, and be well, dear friends. Let's celebrate the stars and stripes forever, and remember, with all of your ancestors behind you, you are the result of the love of thousands. This podcast is written and produced by our incredible team of writers and editors, and we are, as always, so grateful for President General Pamela Rouse Wright and Historian General Suzanne Heskey for their constant guidance, and to Heather Green for being so generous with her time. The National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a nonprofit, non-political volunteer women's service organization dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. Members are all lineal descendants of those who supported the cause of independence in the Revolutionary War. For more information, please visit dar.org. This is the DAR Today podcast.